planet Earth. Our home, hosting all kinds of living beings since millions of years, is constantly changing. Earth, capable of eradicating the systems of most complex kinds as we know it, will be our home only if we care about it. Despite our resources, the natural disasters which hindering our daily lives, causing loss of life and properties, will always occur and cannot be prevented. Disasters happening due to weather conditions are called meteorological disasters. Out of 31 natural disasters occurring, 28 of them happens to be meteorological disasters. Flood, hailstorm, frost and forest fires are only a few of these. Today's topic is avalanche.
Hello, my name is Sahar Kush. In this lesson, we will talk about the avalanche disaster. What is an avalanche? With the absence of any vegetation to block it, deep and dense snowpack can accumulate on mountains and start to move down the slope with great force and speed without any kind of disturbance. We call this an avalanche. Almost every year, countless avalanches occur in the high mountain of our world. Whenever it inflicts negative effects on habitats or occurs in residential areas, it is called an avalanche disaster. Daily life can come to a halt in such areas. The path between the starting and terminal point of the avalanche is called the avalanche trajectory. We can divide the avalanche trajectory into 3 sections as the starting point, flow path, slowdown, and stopping line. The point at which the avalanche breaks off the larger snowmass as layers and flows is called the avalanche starting point. And the path it follows by flowing is called the flow path. In cases where the slope is 15% or less, the avalanche slows down to the point of stopping. This line is called the slowdown and stopping line. Avalanches are divided into 4 categories: layer avalanches, wet avalanches, powder avalanches, and loose avalanches. Layer avalanches are those which break off of the mass in layers and begin to flow. Avalanches are formed by the action of all layers or several layers. The flow velocity is stronger on rocky and grassy surfaces. The second type is wet avalanches. With the hot blown winds and the rainfall, the snow masses begin to get wet and condense. Snow mass begins to flow from the point where the snow breaks off and meets the land. It looks like a dense stream of muddy water, flowing at the speed of 10 to 20 kilometers. And although it seems slow, the damage dealt at the points of contact is immense. And although it seems slow, the damage dealt at the points of contact is immense. Such avalanches load 40 tons of force per inch, which is enough to crush a car. Loose avalanches break off of a loose snow layer at the altitude where the snow starts. These are layers that are close to or on the surface. It looks like grains of sand flowing from a sand dune. Avalanches that happen when dry snow with low humidity, air mass, and heavy snow mass gathers to form a core are called dry avalanches. Avalanches without a dense core are called powder avalanches. Such avalanches look like a cloud of dust. Avalanche risk maps mark and map the area where avalanches occur or are likely to happen. These maps are required for future zoning or construction. Despite all the technologies developed in the world, avalanche risks cannot be predicted. However, with the methods and developed techniques, forecasts can be made about the proximity or size of a possible avalanche. One of these techniques is a rast block technique. Digging the snow cover 2 meter wide and 1.5 meter deep gives a chance to estimate the proximity of the avalanche, depending on the data about the density of the snow layers. RAM profiling method requires a device called RAM penetrometer. With the shovel test, the aim is to detect weak layers on the surface. If there is a weak layer at the top of a column, a break is likely to happen. The structure of snow cover can be checked very quickly by a probing test. By profiling the hardness, moisture content, density, and temperature of the layers can be measured. There are two methods to prevent avalanches: permanent and temporary. Permanent and temporary are two methods used to prevent avalanches. One of the permanent methods is ladder structuring, which we will call terracing. By applying terracing techniques and building wind roofs, we reconstruct hilly areas. Controlled avalanches can also be set off. We can drain areas with avalanche risk by using explosives. In addition, warning signs can be placed on the roads. Residential areas may be evacuated, and the access to these areas can be denied. We can prevent avalanches by digging deep trenches and wells on the part of the road in the direction of the avalanche. Mountainous areas make up 1/3 of Turkey. There are areas with very high avalanche risk in our country. Let's see together how we need to build structures in areas with high avalanche risk and how we should use the land. First of all, we should pay attention to the quality and durability of materials to be used in building construction in regions with an avalanche risk, because houses to be built in regions with avalanche risk must be resistant to the pressure caused by avalanche. Windows and doors should not be built on the sides of the house facing the avalanche direction. If necessary, a second entry to another part of the house would be optimal. We should make sure that the windows are small, shuttered, and strong. Structures such as balconies should not be built, as they can collapse during an avalanche. If possible, other parts of the house and other rooms should be chosen as primary living spaces. Additionally, if there are sparse forest or unstable stone masses in the direction of avalanche, we need to clear them from the risk area, because in the event of an avalanche, they can turn into objects that can crush us. In the areas with avalanche risk, roads should be on the flow line if possible. The roads on the slopes should be reinforced and raised. Warning signs can be placed on these roads to prevent entry or exit. By digging deep trenches or wells on the part of the road facing the avalanche direction, we can prevent future risks. When we pass through high-risk areas, it is necessary to mark the dangerous and safe route passages accordingly. Materials such as GPS, maps, compass, and whistles that make noise should be equipped. Considering the time mountaineers, skiers, ski instructors, and snowboarders spend in these areas, they need to learn these safety actions and turn them into a habit. To prepare such a traverse, we need to obtain information about weather or avalanches from the residences of the regions we will pass by. Why is that? We need to obtain information on whether there has been an avalanche before or how often the avalanches occur. No matter how well we prepare, we must always have a plan B, because weather can turn at any moment. If we prefer to pass at the narrowest path, it is also important to have an escape route in case of an avalanche. You need to have a snow shovel, avalanche probe, and electronic receiver with you. The electronic receiver will be useful should you get lost in an avalanche. On the other hand, an avalanche shovel will help you rescue the victim beneath the snow during a rescue operation. During the passage, if possible, we should put on our snowshoes or use snowboard suits. Any pressure applied during walking may cause avalanche formation with a snow breakoff. We need to get a large backpack. The large backpack can contain items we need and will create air chambers when we face a risk of avalanche. Before starting the passage, we need to take off our skis. And if our batons are wrapped around our wrist, we have to take them off because they can harm us in a possible fall or avalanche. If you are in a group, An experienced person from the group should be chosen as a leader. Marching should be done with distance in between, but without losing sight of each other. The disaster victim who is under avalanche will be rescued with the help of the team members who are outside. You should not use snow vehicles unless you have to, because snow vehicles can cause avalanches. If you are using a snow vehicle or motorcycle, you must wear a helmet. If we pass through the area with high avalanche risk as a group, we should not move in a single file towards the target, and we should choose the narrowest path. We must go one by one and quietly and listen to our surroundings. When crossing, we should approach diagonally to the destination instead of walking parallel to each other, so we do not cause the snow mass to break. We hear a loud noise at the first moment during an avalanche. This is called the rupture sound. After this sound, the snow mass breaks under our feet and starts to slide. The sliding mass of snow feels like a rug being pulled out under our feet. We lose our balance and fall. This is the moment with the biggest chance of survival. We have to act fast and escape. Next, since the avalanche will begin to accelerate in the first 5 seconds, we must try to hold on to a tree or stone mass that comes before us or is fixed to the ground. If we cannot hold on to something, we must make a swimming movement. The reason why we do this is to stay close to the surface. In 5 to 10 seconds, the avalanche accelerates up to 130 kilometers per hour. The survivor who remained inside no longer has a chance to guess his direction. He may experience suffocation sensations due to the cold air he breathes in. Pieces of wood or stones in the avalanche can injure the victim or kill him. At this point, the only thing that can be done is to try to stay on the surface by doing swimming stroke movements. The avalanche will start to slow down and stop in 10 to 15 seconds. The air chamber we will create will enable us to receive the oxygen necessary for our survival. When the avalanche stops, it will turn into a standing ice mass. Now that the avalanche has stopped, we have nothing left to do. The victim, who is in the avalanche, is under the snow up to his toes. In this state, it is no longer possible to move around and ask for help. He needs to breathe in a correct manner in that air chamber. The only thing the survivor can do is wait to be rescued. By the 4th minute, because of the carbon dioxide formation due to the breathing in the air chamber, the victim will gradually begin to lose consciousness and reflexes. By the 15th minute, brain damage will begin to occur in the victim. However, he is still alive. 50% of victims found after the 25th minute are dead. By the 35th minute, 75% of the victims die. Survivors who are recovered alive survive due to air tunnels formed by chance. If you are caught in an avalanche in the field, try to run diagonally toward the edges. Try to hold your breath for a long time by closing your mouth during the avalanche. Keeping a ribbon on us when we go out in the field can be one piece of equipment that will help us survive. If we are caught in an avalanche during the walk, this ribbon will help us be found. If you feel that you are close to the surface during an avalanche, try to make your voice heard by shouting or screaming. However, if you are deep under avalanche, shouting will only cause you to consume precious oxygen, and they will not be able to hear you from outside. If you feel that you will faint while under the snow, do not resist fainting, since an unconscious person will consume less oxygen and thus have a higher chance of survival. If you have an oxygen cylinder on you, try to breathe immediately using it, and pull the pin of the airbag on your bag in order to inflate it. This bag will act like an air vest and will help you stay on the surface. In order to prevent snow from entering your mouth or nose, you need to cover your mouth and nose with the collar of your turtleneck you are wearing. If you do not have a turtleneck sweater, you should cover your nose and mouth with a scarf. If you are caught in an avalanche in a car, Turn off the engine and turn off the lights. Do not smoke, as you need to use oxygen correctly, as you need to use oxygen wisely. If there is a metal or a rod-like object in the vehicle, you need to help those who come to the rescue by pushing it in the direction of the snow. If you guess that the vehicle is safe, you can clear off the snow around your vehicle. However, if you are not sure that it is safe, you should not attempt this. You can help those who come to your call by sounding the horn. If there is a wireless or similar communication device in your vehicle, you must keep them turned on. The body temperature of an adult is 37 degrees. If this temperature falls below 35, this is called hypothermia. Strange behaviors and loss of consciousness are seen in adults with hypothermia. A person who has suffered severe hypothermia looks like a person who has lost his life. Often there is no or a very weak pulse. However, let's not forget that avalanche victims usually die before they go into hypothermia. If we work in the search and rescue team during the avalanche, or if we are doing search and rescue, in order to prevent a secondary avalanche, a spotter must be designated so we do not risk the whole group. In the search and rescue area, an entry and exit route should be marked first. The last point where the victim was seen should be marked, and the search and rescue efforts should be focusing there. Search and rescue by seeing and listening is the simplest and most basic method, but most of the time it is inadequate. We may think that we saw something of importance, but we are mistaken. Something that looks like an object on the snow can be the victim himself. If we are sure there is a receiver and transmitter device on the victim, we should bring the transmitters on us to the receiver position. If a signal of the victim is received, we need to inform other group members and ensure that they reach them. We need to search victims at short intervals. Searches should be conducted with short steps using batons. Search with batons can cause injuries, but this is an acceptable risk. Probing processes do not require expertise. The more people to help, it is faster to find the victim. You can also participate in these search studies. The routing method is to draw a circle around itself to find the point where the intent signal is received. Grift method is to determine the point where the signal can be received with 90-degree angles. Tangent method, on the other hand, is to search the directions of the signal in short intervals. The most important and effective method in search and rescue is with dogs. Searching with dogs is effective, but trained dogs may not be available or found in time. Search and rescue dogs should be kept separate from the crowd as much as possible, for they get aggressive and useless for search efforts. Another counter method against getting buried in an avalanche is passive responders. We can attach one of them to our sweater or jacket and another one to our pants. Passive responders are easy to get, but they are not preferred because the detectors that communicate with them are expensive and difficult to acquire. A magnetometer is used to rescue people who have been exposed to disasters in the vehicle. Don't make the mistake of overconfidence against avalanches. We never know where and when we can find ourselves in such a risk. We may be on a vacation, or we may be at work. When facing an avalanche disaster, we should be informed about what to do and what not to do. Therefore, this information can always save lives.
The constant change of the world is a natural thing, and so are the natural disasters. Therefore, they'll always continue to be a part of our lives. If we take the necessary precautions and be prepared for them, we could mitigate the loss of lives and properties, having learned to exist harmoniously in the nature. If we happen to be competent in times of crisis, desperation won't be an option no more.